So the first thing, we've already created our CSS folder, right? Okay. Yeah. Like the simple way to open CSS of any folder in Visual Studio Code is like just drag it in onto it and leave it. It will open. So let me create another file. Today's day 2, right? Day2.html is our file. And to create any paragraph, you have to use a p tag. P means paragraph. And to generate dummy text, you have to use lorem code. And if you mention the number, you will be getting that specific number of words. So if I say 61, you'll be getting 61 words. And for formatting, you will be using the command Alt-Shift-F. So we will apply CSS on this part of like code now. Let me open this in live server to see the output. When I just click here, go live, a port will be generated in your local system, and you will be able to see the output of your HTML code. So I've already discussed about the 3 types of CSS. The first is inline, the second is internal, and the last is external. So I hope that all of you like understood the concept. If not, go to the previous video which is there in YouTube and just check them out. So let me apply inline CSS to this paragraph. So let me apply internal CSS to this paragraph. When I apply internal CSS, like I have to apply CSS to the p tag. When I apply like color, if I change the color to, like you get the suggestions, right? What is this called as? This drop down is called as emit. So if I want it to be like, let me just go brown. All the all the text got colored into brown. And there is another tag called as let's say H3. All of you know about H3, right? H3 is a type of heading tag. In that, if I say like this is, let me make it into caps. This is day 2 CSS class. If I save it, this comes in like bold text. H3 has a default styling, guys. So the default styling is this, a bold text, and it has a particular font size. So I want to apply some same styling on the p tag and the h3 tag. So what should I do? I can just group the elements. Like I can say p comma h3, and I can write some simple CSS rules on them. Let me try this. Let me add background color to them and say to be pink. Did you see the changes? So this rule, background color, which I gave it as pink, this CSS rule, is being applied to both the elements P and H3 together at once. But this thing is being applied only to the P tag. The brown color is being applied only P tag, because it is applied only to P, whereas a background color is being applied to both P and H3. This is other type. And like if you want to set up the background color of the whole page, so here what we are doing is we're applying background color to only few tags, few elements in our web page, right? The rest of the web page is being white. So someone like me would say that this is looking boring. Like white is a common color, right? So I want to make it green. How do you do that? Because if there is nothing in your, like, if there is nothing in your web page, it stays white, right? So let me do one thing. I'll take off these lines. Like I commented these. Comments will not be like putting results on your web onto your web page. Okay, so if you want to delete something for some time, you can just comment them like this. The command is you have to select all the text that you want to comment, and just you have to like press the shortcut control plus slash. Selected code gets commented. So now if you save this file, let's see the result in live server. There will be nothing on the page, only the title stays here. So and these things in the style tag will not give any results because there is nothing called as p, there is nothing called as h3 in our web page, so no results will be shown. Now coming to the background color of the page, there is nothing called as, there is no content in your page, right? So when there is no content in your page, how do you write a CSS rule? Just think of it. Like when there is nothing in your home, like when there is nothing in your web page, and there is nothing in your HTML page too, in your body, like where can you apply the background color? Okay, so some intelligent people like me would say that you can apply styling to the body, right? What's wrong in that? You can just apply this styling for body tag because everything you write in body is being displaying here. It is being displaying here. So what's wrong if you apply styling for body? So let's see that. If I can apply styling for body, body is an element, so it's okay. Background color, green, right? Wow, this is great. I got styling for body. What if, like I have control V. Okay, I got the code back. See, now we got the code back. The background is green. The whole background is green for body. After that, the styling for P is being applied. That is brown color and pink color as background, and the styling for H3 is being applied. That is pink color obviously as background, like from the rules that we have written. Right? After that, what can we do? Like we will not only have elements like only 2-3 elements in your HTML code, right? You will be having many elements. You'll be having H4, telling that this is CSS class. This is CSS class. You'll be having element like what can I say? Like you can have div. If you don't know what is div, let's like you don't bother about it. It is just an element in your. It is a tag in your HTML. I'll tell you afterwards. And if I put lorem here, you'll get some text. If you have other tags, like if you have h5 and saying some lorem h5 printing its own name, and like h6 printing its own name. Let me do one thing. I'll print its own name everywhere. This is h4. This is h3. Right? So we have in our code, we have like how many different tags? We have P, we have H3, we have H4, we have div, we have H5, we have H6. Can you see the screen like the output? Okay, I'll enlarge it so that you can see well. So these are the different tags that we have in our HTML file. So sometimes you'll be getting scenarios like you want to apply some styling to all the tags in your HTML, in your web page, right? So we have different tags in our HTML page, and this is a simple scenario. Like in after some time, when you work on different projects, you'll have like so many different tags in your like HTML code, and you want to apply some common styling to all these tags. So there is something called as star. There is something called as star. Star is something like a universal selector. Star means the rules that you're writing in this space will be applied to all the tags in your HTML code. So let me do one thing. Which one should I apply? Like let me give the font style for all the tags. Font style, font family, it's called font family, and I'm changing it to Times New Roman Gabriel Vandana. So like here, after saving the file, we're like looking like it is seen like all the tags are being applied the font style which is given in the universal tag. Star, if you write a CSS rule using star, it is called as a universal selector. Like all the CSS rules that you write in that star will be applied to the whole page. So this is one type of thing. Okay. Next, we have something called as like I asked you whether you know about IDEA in the class. So today in our class we discussed that we will be discussing about CSS selectors, right? Now I'll explain what selectors I have told you till now. So there is the first selector here is called as universal selector. Universal selector is the star one which I used, which basically says that the rules in the star universal selector will be applied to the whole page. That is a universal selector. And the next is element selector. Like everything in our CSS, like in the HTML is an element. What I told you in the previous class, everything that you write in a HTML page is an element. The P tag, the A tag, the div tag, the H3 tag or the H tags, all the H tags, the body, the head, the style, the meta tag, the title tag, even the HTML tag too is an element. So if you apply CSS on some element, it is called as an element selector. So this is called as the selector. This is called the selector, and we are applying this and we are applying the CSS on a single element. So it is called as the element selector. After that, there is something called as group selector. Group selector is nothing but if you want to apply the same styling on a group of elements, you just write all those elements side by side, separating using a comma. Also, if you want to like add some other elements, you can write comma div, comma h4, comma h6. Like in that way, you can like write all those elements names and then you can apply the common styling. So this is called as group selector. It is basically saying that if you want to apply CSS on a group of elements, then you can use the group selector and you can apply the CSS. The next is ID selector and class selector. I'll tell you about them now. Okay, now let us learn about what is an ID and what is a class. So normally I'll explain you what is an ID and what is a class using a simple scenario. All of you are students, right? So each of you will be having some roll number. Some roll number. So Tejaswani may have some roll number. Shivaramakrishna may have some roll number. Kotigar will have some number, and like that, right? So if any of your teachers want to communicate with you, they will be just calling you by your ID name, like ID number. If it is like 101, if Tejaswani's number is 101, some unknown person will be coming and he'll be calling you 101 from this class. Come out of the room. We want to talk to you. Like in the same way, if you want to like apply CSS only on a particular element, like you may have different p tags in your program, but you want to apply styling only for the first p tag or the third p tag or the last p tag. You when you're specific about which p tag or which element that you want to apply your CSS, when you have a when you have multiple such elements, you can use ID. Like there will be many girls in one class, but if you want to call one girl from that class, you will use something called as ID. Like your roll number is ID here. In that way, the same thing works in CSS. So if you have different p tags, but you want to apply CSS only to one p tag, you can like give an ID for it. You can give an ID for it and then apply CSS using ID. When you apply CSS using ID, it is called as ID selector. And the other thing is class. So a group of people, when they are in class and there is some special announcement, what do they do in your college actually? Someone outside from your class, they come into your class and they give the announcement to all of you, right? Not to a single person. And another scenario is like if there is some good thing what your class did, like if there are many sections in your class, in your branch, like class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, but there is something which impressed your HOD. What will she say? Like she will not be reading all the list of names in your class, right? She'll go onto the dais and she'll say CSC section 1 is like doing great work, it is giving great results, nice placements, they're doing internships, like that, right? And all her words will be applying to the whole class. In the same way, if you want to apply your rules to a group of like elements, you can use class, unlike using a group selector. So what happens is, if you have group selector, like you should mention all the elements that you want to apply CSS. But here what is happening is, you can give a class to all these elements, and then you can write a common class selector for all those elements, and then the CSS rules will be applied. I'll show you a demo. So first I'll start using ID. So there are so many tags, so many like pre tags in your program. P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7, P8, P9, P10, P11, P12. Right? If I like see the output, there will be P1, P2 till P11. We will be having the styling. So what can we do here? Like we want to apply styling only for P7. Only for P7. Then what can we do? You can just, in the opening tag itself, there is a like keyword called as ID. And if you do like this, you can just give an ID name. Let the ID be P7. Now you want to apply styling for this. If you just give an ID for an element, there will be no change in the web page. For the changes, you just have to write the CSS rule. So the CSS rule will be like, you gave an ID for P7 as, for this P tag as P7, right? So you can say hash P7 and you can give the color as green. You see the changes. P7 has got green color. So if you are applying CSS to an ID, you have to, while writing a selector, you have to start it using hash symbol. So yeah. And one more thing is that in your class you'll be having ID numbers, right? Can any two persons have the same ID? No. Two members cannot have the same ID. So in the same way, even here also, no two elements can have the same ID. That is a rule. So and another thing is that any number of elements can have the same class. Like in your class, like it is like no two members can have the same ID, but any two members can be in the same class. Okay. I think you understood it. Is it confusing? Okay, I'll repeat it. No two members can have the same ID. Any two members can have the same class. The same, you can apply the same scenario to your class analogy, wherein two members, like two students, cannot have the same ID number, but those two people can be in the same class. Those two people can belong to the same class. This is the same, similar. It is like inspired from the real life analogy. Yeah. Now the ID thing is completed. Now if we want to like look at class, something called as class. I have a h5 tag saying that I am h5. I am h5. So but now here I want to like apply the same styling for h5, h6. I am h6 div. I am div. And h3. I am h3, h3. Okay. So I have 4 new elements in my HTML page, and I want to apply same styling to h5, h6, div, h3. For this 4, I want to like apply the same styling. Like as earlier, I can just write a group selector and I can write h5, comma h6, comma div, comma h3, and I can give a color for them. But I don't want to use a group selector. That is the case when you have very few like elements to what you want to apply CSS rule. But if you have so many different types of like elements in your HTML page to apply the same CSS, you can just introduce a class. And if that for that we use a keyword called as class. It can be some name, like let us make it as Koti Garu. And if I give the class to all these tags, if I give it to h6 also, if I give it to div also, if I give it to h3 also, so all of these will be containing a similar class. Now if I want to apply the styling to a class, I have to use something called as dot. For ID it is hash, right? For class it is dot class name. Class name is Koti. And the color is let's say to be blue. Okay, do you see this? All the elements having the same class are being applied blue color. So this is about class. This is the ID selector. This is the class selector. And one thing is that you can like combine the selectors and you can write CSS rules. If you have different classes, let's say this class is Ramakrishna in your class. And this is Tejashvi, me, Tejashwini only, Tejashwini, and some other name, Koti Pradeep, and this is Pradeep. So what is happening here? Since the class names have been changed, only for Koti class, blue color is being applied. But I want the same color for Rama, Tejashwini, Pradeep also. What can I do? What can you do is, like here only, you can just write a group selector dot Rama space dot Tejashwini space dot Pradeep. Oh, I think you have to mention comma here. And all those like class names should be separated using a comma. So if this is a group selector, this is normally a class selector combined with a group selector, right? So in this way you can just club the number the types of different types of selectors, and you can apply your CSS rules. So this is one way. So we have discussed element selector, we have discussed universal selector, we have discussed group selector, we have discussed ID selector, and also the class selector. So the concept of selectors is completed. Okay. And the next thing is we have discussed simple rules like color, background color, and we saw font style. And we have discussed how to use like ID and class.